Okay, AP Statistics. In this video, we're going to go through some examples for Unit 3 that go along with the first 3 videos that I made for you as far as instructional information goes. So in these examples, if you'll notice, I've already got the answers written out because they're kind of lengthy, so I didn't want to have to write through the video. So you can always pause it and write this stuff down, but I just want to explain some stuff to you. So as we look at these examples, the first one, we have an assembly line at a factory, and they produce 500 cars a day, and every day they take 25 cars and they inspect them for quality control. So we're identifying the population and we're identifying the sample. So your population, of course, is going to be all the cars that are produced in a given day, and your sample would be the 25 cars you select for quality control. So the sample comes out of the population, so you've got all the cars for one day, and you take 25 of them out. All right, number 2, we have a politician here using a Twitter poll, and he's finding out whether his followers agree with a recent bill. So he looks at 432 people that respond to the poll, identify the population and the sample. Well, the population would be all of the people that follow him on Twitter, and the sample would be just the 432 people who responded. So that sample comes out of all of the followers. Okay, so that's just helping you identify what a sample is based on population. Now we're going to look at example 3. So for this one, just pause this video and read the example because I don't want to read it to you. And let's see, we've got what type of sampling did the teacher use? Well, this teacher used 32 students in his second period statistics class. So this, of course, would be convenience sampling. And how, we're explaining how bias in the sampling method could have affected the results. Well, keep in mind that even though it was easy for him to collect the data from his second period AP Stats class, it's not going to be necessarily representative of the whole population of all the students at school. And there's a couple of different reasons for that. People who are in advanced classes tend to study more, possibly. They tend to put a higher priority on their work, perhaps, which would therefore lead to a higher GPA. So that GPA of that class may not represent the GPA of the whole school. All right. We have a principal, blah, 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 blah. What type of sampling did the principal use? Well, anytime you're just throwing out there, hey, answer my survey if you want, well, what that's going to lead to are voluntary response sampling. That's the kind of sampling that it is, which means it's going to lead to voluntary response bias. So in explaining how bias would affect the results, well, keep in mind that if I'm just calling for volunteers to respond, I'm going to get people who feel strongly one way or the other. So I'm going to hear from the teachers who absolutely hate the idea of the coffee bar and people who absolutely love the idea of the coffee bar. So keep in mind, our extreme views will be most likely to participate, and that's not representative of the population. Okay. On number 5, we're learning how to select students, or in this case, students, randomly. So how do we do this? How do we take a simple random sample? So if I'm using a random number generator, that's your calculator. I don't have a calculator on my iPad, so I can't show this to you on here, but anyway. So a simple random sample of 5 students. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to label all these students 1 through 28. So I'd like Allison be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, etc., etc. And then I am going to use a random number generator to obtain 5 different integers, 1 through 28. And of course, I will be ignoring repeats because once someone is chosen, they can't be chosen again. And then I am going to choose those students to be selected to share good news. All right, an alternative way or an alternate way to getting a simple random sample is writing all the students' names on identical slips of paper, putting in a bowl, mixing it up. Yes, you do have to mix them up. If you don't do that, it's not random. You have to mix it up, and then you're pulling 5 slips of paper out without putting them back, and those would be the 5 students. So that is how all of that works. So that just kind of gives you just an example or several examples of sampling and how we randomly sample, etc., etc. So in the next video, I will go through some more examples.